Awesome. Got you.
Yeah, we're on countdown.
We are live, yes. Hello there, party people of the internet. It is I, Straw Hat Lucas, captain of the Last Ark. We've got a very, very nice stream today, joined by a lovely guest, Ors, Wizard of Ors. Y'all know him. He's a amazing One Piece theorist. We were just hyping him up a little bit before stream. Like Cube said, I think the first One Piece theory that I watched that got me like deep into it was that Ors's Joy Boy theory, and it's like, oh, oh, because I remember you posted it on your original channel, and then I couldn't find any more of your videos, and I was like, where is this guy? And then I found Preach's channel, and I was like, oh, there he is. Okay,
Yeah.
but yes, Ors, why don't you tell the people about yourself, where to find you?
Yeah, so as he said, like I used to work with Preach. I don't know. You guys probably know me from there too as the Wizard of Wars over there. But then recently this year I made my own channel. It's just called Oars, OARZ. And yeah, you guys can find me there now. I'm still doing the same stuff, the same type of One Piece videos that I was doing. Like everything's pretty much this like the videos are pretty much exactly the same as what they used to be. It's just different channel now. But yeah, that's thank you guys for having me too, and that's pretty much it for me.
Oh, heck yeah, brother. Heck yeah. And I'm about to drop a link to Or's new channel in the chat, y'all. Make sure you go there and subscribe. And then I'm going to pass it off to my man,
In
David
chapter 1090,
Kushi.
Oda practically confirms that the next island the Straw Hats will go
Hello,
to will
dude.
be
Hello.
Elbaf. I absolutely
Thank
love
you for
how
the intro.
Usopp
Hopefully
and
you can
Luffy.
hear me clearly. Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Maybe a little bit delayed. Okay, cool. No worries. Well, yeah. You know, already know what it is. We're here, as Lucas said, with an absolute OG, and we were just saying a second ago that it's cool to be reading like these absolute peak chapters with like some of the people that have been around for a long time, like predicting and thinking about this, and now we're actually getting it. So, hyped for this one. Hyped. That's cool.
Beautifully said, my man. And next up, I'm also going to apologize if I seem distracted during this introduction. I'm trying to post links and stuff in the chat. Next up is our wonderful, wonderful musician of the Last Ark, Joshua Vykthor. Vykthor, say hello to the people.
Yo, what's up, everyone? I'm here to spit.
Yes, I like
Let's
to hear
go.
that. Actually, it's always a good day when Josh actually comes out of his shell and spits. Next up is the wonderful, wonderful frontline combatant of the Last Ark, NoChillDill. Dill, sound off for me.
Yo, what is up? What is up? How's everyone doing today?
I'm very
Looking forward
appreciative
to another.
of the yayoy.
Looking forward to another great cooking session with another great guest on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And last but certainly least is Cube of the Red Sea, our wonderful story.
Wow.
What an introduction. I appreciate it, guys. And I'm excited, for people who have been following TLA since the beginning. People know that Oris is one of those content creators where I just say, it's going to happen at one point. This recent with Kingdom of Move is another proof to that. So I'm just excited for this session. It's going to be great, guys.
Yeah, I agree. We like Cube just said, we are going to be talking to Oris a little bit more about his Mew Kingdom theory today, but we will be getting into chapter 1113. Obviously, as well, because let's face it, as Oris was saying before stream, what a chapter, guys! Like, we're about to get some void history stuff, and I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. How's everyone else feeling about it? Are y'all ready to learn about the Ancient Kingdom, actually?
I don't know. I was expecting to learn this stuff like at the end. Like I don't know if that's the same for you, like very end though, like the last couple of chapters. So it's exciting, man.
That's how I
Pretty
felt too. I
scary
thought like
stuff, yeah.
like
All
left
this
hell
past.
is when we get this.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, who would have thought that we're finally going to get, like Ors and Lucas are saying, we thought we would get it at the ending, but who would have thought that even before the ending, we would finally get some answers on what Clover was speaking about? Because
True.
he can finish his sentence. He can finish his sentence. Like, it could be a way for Clover to finish his sentence through Vegapunk as well. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. That's exciting. And I won't lie to you guys. I don't know who else in the chat is thinking the same way or anyone here, but I can't wait for Saturn to hit the bucket. I'm sorry. Saturn has done his time. He's done his time.
I agree.
Therefore, as Agora say, give them their shine.
Yeah, give me more of the worm. That's all I care about right now with the Gore
Bro.
statement. Give me more of that worm. I need to know more about him. Because everyone's now tying him to
Whoa, pause.
Alabasta and
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
Oh, dang.
yeah, because a
I didn't
sandworm,
even think
and
of
then
that. No, yeah.
yeah,
But,
and
no,
yeah, go ahead, Cube. Sorry.
I was gonna say because well, Vex isn't here, but Vex and I were big believers that, especially pre-timeskip at the beginning, the fillers that are put, those ones are very important. And one of the fillers in Alabasta is A staying with the Straw Hats doing the desert adventure, and they get attacked by a sand dragon that comes from the sand, and the attack is the same way
Yeah,
as what's his name,
Damn.
Jupiter's first attack when he comes from under the
and the
ground.
Bro.
worm is spelled like WYRM, which is a type of dragon, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm moving towards it being Lily's younger brother. Like the more I look into it, the more that's where I'm going. But I'm not 100% yet. But it wouldn't surprise me, particularly as like excuse me, we were talking yesterday about how all these different regions seem to fit to a different part of the Gorosei. Like the New World would be Wano, which is Naztero. Jupiter would be Paradise. Mars would be Skypiea. And then the North Blue would be the Hoki. South Blue would be Saturn because of the arc we've just had. And the East and West is Joy Boy and Emu. But then no one in Fishman Island except Neptune. So I think it's definitely possible that fits in Alabasta.
Damn. That's a good theory, bro. I've always thought that too, actually, with like the Gores say like there can like where they came from, or like maybe not where they came from, but like where the families came from. How you said like the Skypiea guy obviously resembles Gonfall from or not the Skypiea guy. What's his name? I think it's Mars resembles, yeah, Mars,
Except
yeah.
Neptune. So
He
I think
resembles the
it's definitely
Skypiea
possible that
Gonfall guy,
fits
and then
in
like
Alabasta.
uh the guy that wears like the Wano kind of fit. What's his? Sure, I always forget the Gorse's
No
name.
Zoro, no Zoro.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
true.
yeah,
Naztero.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, like there's. I feel like there's got to be some connection, even if they were celestial. Like even if they were from Arishiwa, like where they were born or whatever. I feel like at least back in the Void Century, their families came from something connected to one of those places for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm gonna.
I mean, like when there's a lot of stuff that ties them, like Nazro's the burning horse, right? And like a Bakatsu is known to be like tied down in a barn, and the barn's lit on
Mhm.
fire, and like that's exactly what happened to Orochi as the Shogun. He was pinned down and burnt to death in the fire and stuff. So I do
Mhm.
think we're going to get some spice on this pretty soon.
Yeah, and
yo,
you know what? I'm gonna say
$10
it
super
here.
chat. Hold on one second, Cube. $10 super chat
Ooh.
already from the Lonely Mage. It's crazy how so many places we've already met in the story had, in one way or another, prepped for a world flood. Baradier, Skypiea, Water 7, Thriller Bark. Oh, yeah, and more. Yeah, like Laboon. I like Water 7 too because Iceberg has been talking for years about making Water 7 float. Which, why would he do that? And he's one of the people who knows the knowledge of
True.
Pluton. Like, he's seen Pluton, so
Mm.
he knows what's coming, I
Damn.
think. I think he knows
True.
what's
True.
coming.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
also the fact that Water 7 is always sinking in the ocean.
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also, yeah, and with Water 7 plus, if you take the Gate of Justice, with I've always said that Impel Down, when they built Impel Down, the water is much lower. It's massive. There's no water at all inside, and even giants won't be able to build it. You need to have like Kaido level, like the Kaidos of the giants, all of them to be building that. It's so low.
True.
I think it's almost as low as the Fishman Island. That is 10,000 meters under the surface of the sea, which is crazy. So yeah, so it does prove that there was already a
I mean,
flooding in the past.
like yeah, well, that I was going to say, like on that note, like if there was a flooding in the past, where was the sea level before that? That's what I'd be interested to know. Like how deep does this ocean, like what's going on under the 10,000 meters and stuff like that? It's strange,
Yeah, I'm very
but
curious.
it's the same height downwards as it is upwards to Sky Islands, which is also a bit stuff.
Yeah.
Also, guys, I have a question for you guys. Like, what do you guys think about like Vig? Because he's saying the world will be flooded. Like, how do you think he like knows that, or like, because like he didn't really reveal anything. I mean, he kind of did reveal like we can assume that there was a flood back then too, but like he's basically saying it's gonna happen again, or at least it's gonna happen for sure. And like, how do you guys think he pretty much figure that out.
I think he has figured out Emu's plot, is what it is.
Mm.
Because he mentioned, I'm not here
I
to
thi-
judge what's right and wrong, because I don't even know enough about him. And I think he's talking
Yeah.
about Emu, which is mind blowing to me because I always thought
Damn,
Emu was a
yeah.
woman. Yeah, I always thought Emu was feminine, but
A lot of people, yeah.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
but nonetheless, like that one line, I fixated on it because the minute he says it in the same panel, Saturn's face is furious. He's like Vegapunk, like because you're hinting at him. You're telling the world someone's sitting there, but you're not at the same time. And it's, ugh.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, so I
And
think,
to,
I think
and
he's
to add
found
to it
out
as well,
Emu's plot. Yeah.
I
I
think
was going to say to
this
add to it
is
as well,
what
like
the
we have this
cleansing
whole like
entails.
What's that deal?
Sorry, what was that?
I was just going to say like
I was saying, this is what the cleansing entails: is the flood
yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
Didn't,
And also,
hold on one second. Didn't was trying to talk.
I was just gonna say like to answer Orz's question like directly as well, like maybe the appearance of the White Warrior, maybe that to him is like what triggers the like, okay, shit, it's the times now sort of thing. Like
Mm. Good.
So,
Because
for me,
oh, go ahead.
sorry. No, I'll let you answer to then I'll jump in afterwards.
Oh no, go ahead. Because I have something completely different. Just go ahead.
Oh,
real
okay,
quick.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think, and it's a bit more meta. I think it's stupid, but it's why he chose the design of Vegapunk of Einstein, and it's one of the biggest quote that we hear from Einstein. His definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over again. And I do think with Vegapunk, we've seen many times there are parallels, there are cycles. Like it seems that it's Groundhog era every time. Like it seems that every 200 years there's the same type of events are happening. You know, this is a reverie year, and the Iron Giant wakes up 200 years ago at a reverie that you had the Iron Giant that was awake. So it does seem. So I'm wondering if Vegapunk, he researched so much, maybe with Clover, maybe it started with Clover, they start seeing insanity. You know, it's doing the same thing over and over again. But since the Gorsei don't care about human evolution, they don't care if they sink or not. They just care of their own, their own privilege, and only their people. It could be that they're deciding, okay, it's insanity, but for them they don't care because they don't care about the end result. So I think it could be also because of that.
so would you say that the red line is do you reckon the red line they built it as like an arc to like keep them above all this stuff then?
Yeah, I can honestly, I think the red line, and I don't, and I'm not, I'm now even more because I'm not gonna lie, I saw a short a while back, someone talking about Pluton, and if the borders were created by Pluton, he said, what if the red line was created by Pluton itself? And I'm wondering if, what if long time ago, that's the importance of the
Definitely could
ancient
be.
weapons, because they keep talking about ancient weapons like they're destroying, but we saw Shiroshi, she's so
Yeah.
sweet, but what we know, she wants to help people. So what if instead, I've always said that instead of being ancient weapons, they're ancient guardians. They're guardians instead. They protect, humanity. But the Gorsei, who want to destroy humanity, they see them as what?
Yeah.
Weapons.
Well, the thing with the ancient weapons too is like they do like they always say they actually like even with Poseidon they were like Shirahoshi does have the power to destroy the world, but like she obviously doesn't want to, but she does have the power to do it. But I agree, it's like the ancient weapons don't even really seem like weapons unless you are evil. Like the Gorsei would obviously think of them as weapons because first of all they oppose them, and secondly they probably do kind of just labeled it as like some super scary thing because we know how the Gorsei and Emu roll. Like we know how they go about like anything about the Void Century or Nico Robin, they just label as like the demon child, or they just say the Oharans were a bunch of demons like doing like illegal things, and like they anything that pretty much goes against them they kind of just label it as bad. So then how you were saying like the ancient weapons, they're not even really weapons. It's just it seems more like at least at this point I feel like I agree with that it seems more like they're just labeled that by the Gorsei and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Like you can kind of see it with like Oda leaning into it with the whole Nolan thing, right? Nolan liar, like all this propaganda,
Yeah.
sort of bragman and stuff like that.
For real.
But like if people came down from the moon to Earth, then that would have required some sort of like massive ship, which to me matches Uranus probably pretty well, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was
For
seen
sure.
by the opposition and then weaponized or copied. Which is how we get this like weird idea of a counter for Pluton, but Frankie can't describe it, is because it's something different. It's not what we would expect, of course. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, and go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and also I feel like the term ancient weapon means nothing compared to devil fruits. We know we know from Luffy's fruit that there are devil fruits, at least most of them, or at least the first one 800 years old. The ancient weapons we could bring to the same thing. I have a question. What's the difference between with the term ancient weapon and a devil fruit? A devil fruit in that logic is the same thing. It could be as a weapon, is ancient. Like even the term ancient weapon
True,
is so
actually.
broad. It's
Yeah,
so
that's
broad.
true. That's true.
It's not unique to them.
And even
That's
like
true.
with Poseidon specifically, like I think it's pretty obvious now. I was thinking about obviously from the last chapter. I was already kind of thinking about this, but like I always kind of thought that Poseidon is basically just because they kind of literally reveal it in Fishman Island. Poseidon's basically just Shirahoshi or the princess who commands the Sea Kings to kind of like take the Noah around. Because as we see, like the Noah, I think
I
when the Sea King, when the Noah's
completely agree,
being,
by the way.
yeah, when the Noah's being destroyed, the Sea Kings literally say something like that just puts it completely obvious what their purpose is. They're like, our purpose is to move the Noah around, and like if you look at the Noah, it's literally built for the Sea Kings to pull around. So it's like literally at this point, like I don't even think that's really like a weapon. Like it's just
Yeah.
like it's literally not a
Mhm.
weapon if that
But
if that
Smokey
makes
and
sense to
I,
you guys. Hmm?
yeah, Smokey and I like actually dropped a video about this about 2, 3 weeks ago.
Mm.
But yeah, just pretty much talking about how all of them like are probably not weapons and they've been weaponized. Like same what Kube was saying about devil fruits, like this whole propaganda thing, but also that they might come together as well. They might be able to combine and be like a very more powerful weapon or a more useful tool like they were originally.
Mm.
But like when you combine them, you might get even weak. So
Mm.
yeah, I agree with that completely, and I particularly with the Poseidon thing. I think the power to control the Sea Kings was for Noah.
Yeah, for sure. It at this point it seems for sure, honestly, especially with the flood
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah, entirely.
Yeah.
Um, so do we think that? How do you think Emu would go about flooding the Earth then? Like, well, the Earth. You guys know what I mean. Because I think that's why they're doing what they're doing at La Lucia. Like, right? That's why they're marking out the kingdoms. Like Dill said earlier, the flood is just an extension of the Great Cleansing. Because it seems like the more islands they destroy, the higher the water levels get. Which tells me that they have destroyed a crap ton more islands than we could ever imagine. Really,
Hmm.
it's especially because there's a prevalent theory that's like that the base water level is actually closer to Fishman Island, like where that
Oh,
is.
I
yeah.
mean,
That's how far the water has gone up, and that especially if they've destroyed not only the ancient kingdom but other kingdoms that rebelled against the original 20. Like that
Hmm.
would explain why the water has risen so much as well.
I mean, you can see it in the explanation on the one of worlds. Like the old one would be right now submerged in the water. So like we aren't talking about that many use of the mother frame or something like that, like the raising of the water, but still,
Mhm.
it's enough to flood the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look back.
I would even
Because
go, and actually it connects to what you guys were saying, especially you, Lucas, as you were talking about, why would they flood it? It makes sense actually why they would flood the world. They're protected by the gate of justice. But I was thinking more is that what if it started when they started working on the Sky Islands? Because think about this. We know that when Lucia was changed from was gone, after a week there was an effect, right? We don't know how many Sky Islands, but maybe a long time ago when the first Sky, let's say there were 10 first Sky Islands, every island that went up from their axis maybe affected the water around that area. So if in one area you lose like 10 islands nearby, you get tsunamis constantly, That's maybe how the combat started, The start
Hmm.
creating the sky islands, maybe there was a start of flooding. They want to create a sky islands and then it's worse, consequences. We're playing with fire.
Hmm.
well, it seems to me like they're in a safe haven right now, right on top of the red wall, Marie's
Mhm.
wall, and
Yeah.
it seems I think they're trying to bring the water level all the way up to the top, like so it's at Marie's wall.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's probably why the red line was created, so they would still have a long stretch of land that goes across the entire world that they could
Yeah.
inhabit for all the people and force them all onto that one continent. Easier to
For me
control if they're all in
personally,
one spot. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
kind of just I only disagree with the red line created by the celestial dragons just because like we see that the Lunarians lived on there before, so like I don't really know the full purpose of it because to me like the Lunarians living on there before the celestial dragons kind of just like I don't even know anymore, bro. Like that just completely kind of confuses me because it's like if they didn't live there, it would at least be pretty obvious that the why the celestial dragons would make it. But if the celestial dragons didn't make it, and let's say maybe not necessarily the ancient kingdom, but someone during like someone kind of connected to the ancient kingdom and the Lunarians, like why would they want to make that? Like it's just I feel like we're still missing a little bit like a couple of the pieces because
Yeah.
to me that
Well,
it just
one
doesn't
thing
add
I
up
think,
altogether.
if I if if I remember correctly, there's some stuff in the story that's like pretty much states as fact that the Red Line is older than Marishwa, right? I think like the
Yeah.
Lunarians lived there before Marishwa
Hmm.
was even built, they said, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that would suggest that the Void Century wasn't the creation, but instead the building of Marishwa on top of it.
Hmm.
Which might suggest that like there was a flooding previous to that, which we know that there was this whole conquering of Alabasta that went on 1200 years ago with the hero of Troy and stuff. So maybe, it is weird. It is weird because I saw this picture as well today, in some, I think it was like some Shonen Jump or something. And it's, when Oda put the picture out of the three ancient weapons and they were like digital and they were like specs. It was like these like weird, it was like a weird computer picture. I saw one
Yeah,
today
it
and it was
was
20 kingdoms.
preview.
Yeah, yeah. And there was like 20 crowns, which is obviously the 20 like kingdoms, whatever. And then there's this one big crown. And I thought, I've never really thought about it, but I guess if you put that all together, that's 21, right? And 21 is three sevens, and seven is like a revolution. And we've had, it looks like three sets of 400 years. We've had the
Mm.
Yeah.
Damn.
1200. So, I forgot what I
Blowing
was
my mind with this
rambling on
math
about,
piece
but
right now.
What if?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm wondering if basically it's how they there's a prophecy about the One Piece, Joy Boy, and everything. What if there's an older one? Because there's a Void Century, so most people don't even have that history. But what if there's a legend of at one point the world will become deep in sea, and the ruler will be on this location. Like it could be a prophecy. Like basically, it's something that even Imu cannot control. This is going to happen. And maybe Joybo had one way of seeing it, while Imu had another way. One of them thought that we'll just go with the flow, Joyboy, and Imu is about no, we have to control every single thing. And if it doesn't do it, oh wait, it's taking too long, I'm going to force it out. Someone who is a control freak would also want to control when it comes out, even do it faster. So
Mm.
it could also be that it's something that they
I
can
mean,
never stop.
what is interesting about like kind of what you're saying, particularly, is that like if they have done this before, Neptune is down there, fishmen are down there surviving. So like maybe like Emu does want to flood, but at the same time, I doubt like the only character named after a planet like the Gorsei and stuff is Neptune, and he's like the Gorsei of the sea, under the sea, and he's free of the world government's reign. So my point is that if they flood, if Emu does want to keep the world, then it's possible that the people that live under the sea, there's going to be more and more and more and more of them. They'll eventually rise up and take them on, kind of like Fisher Tiger when he climbed the red line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because
Yeah.
she's making foes, by
Mm.
sinking all these people.
And I actually agree with what Cube said too about like because that's what I was originally asking because I have a kind of a theory like how I said like Vegapunk he didn't really reveal anything about the past. He actually revealed what's gonna happen in the future, and how Cube said like there is like the prophecy stuff at Fishman Island, and if you take a look at a lot of the One Piece like the actual One Piece stuff like anyone who seems to learn of the One Piece, Odin, Whitebeard, Roger, they always bring stuff up about the future. And I was gonna say like maybe somehow Vegapunk. I don't think he went to the One Piece obviously, but somehow researching the stuff that O'Hara learned, or somehow he got like some knowledge of like the Void Century stuff, the stuff that they knew. And I think somehow he might have learned about their prophecy of that there might actually be like a flood. And I think the I think the full prophecy is that that there's gonna be a war, that Emu's obviously gonna lose, that Joy Boy's gonna return. But yeah, I'm pretty sure like the flood was probably in that prophecy too, and I wonder if that's how Vegapunk actually learned about it.
Hmm. I like that.
Mm.
I like the idea of like Vegapunk now. He even without finding the One Piece, he knows the full story of it. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then maybe because maybe it is because when I said earlier about the hymn line, my first two thoughts were Emu, obviously, because like I said earlier, but my second one was Emu,
Yeah.
or not Emu, Nika. Like learning of
Mhm.
Nika. Maybe Nika is the one that's going to flood the world, but it's not in the way that we think. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So when Vegapunk saw the White Warrior, that might have been a massive trigger, like for him and Shaka,
Seriously.
like, oh shit,
True.
like this.
Like this
yeah,
is
because
it.
he
This
about to
it's
die.
happening. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's gonna be a
it's
big tidal
interesting
wave.
because I have something that might connect also to Momo, and it's interesting. Momo knows Joy Boy, right? Odin did not know Joy Boy. Odin wanted to open the borders of Wano. After Momo read the journal, he didn't want to open the borders of Wano. Something about it, and I think Vegapunk is the same thing. I think something happened 800 years ago. If Vegapunk got the information, he could have said, "Why did they just do that?" Because the way he talks about it, he says, "I'm not one to
Yeah,
judge." Like it's weird. He's the smartest man, and even he is not sure. And I'm wondering if there's something that doesn't add up. And it makes me think of Momo knew Joy Boy, and there must have been something that only if you knew Joy Boy and the people at that time would have made. Like, let's say that they had a chance to win 800 years ago, but instead they hesitated and Emu took over. And Vegapunk says, wait, but when did they do it
yeah,
the day before? But maybe something happened in which Joy Boy had to retreat, Let's say Joy Boy's brother was taken from him, parallel to the Ace Marine Ford or something like that. Something, and then no one knew about it. So that's why I'm wondering if it could be similar that because they're missing a context, that's why Vegapunk is talking the way he is. He feels like there's something off with the information he got. There's something not adding up.
I
Maybe,
completely
yeah.
get what you mean. Like, are you saying that like he's like, well, maybe it's not going to actually happen, but he wants to like detail what Joy Boy's plan was so that people have a chance to survive in this great flood.
Yeah,
Because less
or like
like the Noah was probably sorted like Joy Boy and stuff like
yeah, or Joy Boy was like the last thing they know about Joy Boy is he went to Marijoa to free the world. The next day, Void Century happens. And so Vegapunk sees that there's something that's not winning. Why didn't they win? They had like it could be that it's like in Marineford, Whitebeard had a whole army against the Marines, yet they still lost at the end. And then we're on. But if you
that.
look, but you look into it, is they tricked them. They had someone stab him. They had all those different things, those ploys, those mental games. Ivankov had to deal with one of his oldest friends, Kuma, not remembering him, and it impacted. Like we know the different reasons why certain people had difficulties to achieve certain stuff. Same thing with Garp, how Luffy got into it because Luffy defeated Garp. No, if you look back, Garp didn't want to punch his own grandson, and I think it could have been the same thing 800 years ago. Something happened, and it bothers Vegapunk. That could explain why someone who seems to know everything, that thing, like Lucas said,
It
I'm not
it
the one
might
to
be,
judge it.
Yeah.
There's something off.
yeah, it might
Sorry.
be like an attempt at like redeeming himself, right? Because he said he's done two things that he shouldn't have done, or two things that he like deserves to die for, or something like that. And it could be like a chance to redeem himself, like trying to save from the big flood or something.
yeah. It's with the whole reason I thought Nika at first as well is because like Joy Boy also wrote an apology letter to the Princess of Fishman Island, the Poseidon of the Void Century,
Yeah.
and talked about I'm sorry I couldn't do it this time basically, and like you guys just said with him being like I'm not here to judge what's right and what's wrong because I don't even know that much about him. It's either Nika or Emu because if it's Nika, then he's like you said, Cube. What if he doesn't understand the plan fully? What if he's missing a piece of it? What if he's missing that one piece of the plan?
Exactly.
like,
Actually, I'm looking at it. I'm literally sorry. I was just looking at the chapter, and what he says after the thing that we're talking about, like him, right? The him. Right after that, he says, "What I'm about to tell you is so preposterous, you might even burst into laughter." So it actually might be Nika.
yeah,
Yeah. God damn, bro. I thought it was Emu too, but looking at that,
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah. It's because it could go either way. Like I said, with the whole
Yeah.
Saturn thing, him being like Vegapunk, it's either he's upset that he's talking about Emu or he's upset he's talking about Nika.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and then as we saw with Nika in especially in the anime, they've done a really good job. Is that not everyone sees him as a smiling warrior in white? Some people see him as a demon. Kaido and
Yeah.
Rob Lucci both saw him with
True.
glowing red eyes coming
Yeah.
at them like a monster. Like
That's true.
Remember the red hair pirates? What they said? The ones who didn't know about Luffy when they were talking when Shanks was in Wano. One of them said, "I've heard the stories about him. For those who
True.
witness him, he looks just like a demon." They were
True,
frightened.
true.
And they're
Yeah.
another Yonko crew, and they're a more established Yonko crew. And the way they
Mhm.
describe it, that people told them that he looks just like a demon. It
Mm.
could be a perspective, you know.
Yeah.
And
That is true. It depends if you're on his side or not. I think that's really all it goes down to.
exactly, and it
Yeah.
boils down to also like just the base powers of Nika to create this imagination
True.
into reality. So if he's imagining himself as a demon to his opponents, that's what they're going to
Mhm.
see him as.
Damn,
know
that's
what
true.
the-
That's true.
I think it's what they're
It's-
talking
it's-
about right now. Oh, sorry, go ahead then, because I'm about to spit something
Oh, I
crazy.
was just gonna say it is like one of the wildest lines in like that I can remember. Is in 1113 or whatever it is, and the Vegapunk says like, "Do not judge these people as evil" or something like that. It's like, dude, I'm over 1,000 chapters into the story. I just assumed very heavily that they're evil, and now he's like, "Yeah, don't think these world government guys are that bad." I'm like, wait, what? Like, so it's going to be interesting to see how it manages like such a switch in perception.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like Saturn is a dick.
Yeah, all of them. I'm pretty sure all of them are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
To
Then-
Peter, quite
I-
literally, a giant phallic object. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
So, then I'm happy that you ended your sentence with perception, because that's what I was going to bring it up, and it's something that was introduced. Jinbei versus Big Mom, when her power can work on him because he did not fear him. And if you go back in Solo Bar,
Yeah.
Perona's abilities did not work against Usopp because he was already depressed. So I'm wondering if there's this thing
Yeah,
in
when
One Piece, and
Sugar gets scared, she relinquishes control of the
Yeah.
puppet, right?
I'm wondering if emotions, it's a bit like you're a boxer, right? You're fighting your opponent. You're two great boxers. But since for some reason you got scared of the other one, you start giving in, you know? You seem more weaker. You know, you have a less will. And I'm wondering in One
nerves
Piece,
get
maybe
to you,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. What if Saturn? That's why in the Reverie it never worked on Cobra and Sabo. Saturn's weird ability to stop people from moving, but it could be because of emotion. You know, it's how Hancock's would work. You connect to the same emotion that she releases, you turn to stone. And I'm wondering in One Piece is that's why certain people like it's interesting. If you look at Buggy, when Luffy sees Buggy, he's always goofy. But when you see an article or anything about Buggy, he's sinister. You know what I mean? Like look at that cross guild thing, and everyone's like tense about it, and Luffy's just look at it says he's a goofball. It could be like Luffy's
Yeah.
still seeing the actual one. And I'm wondering in One Piece, and you had that with Jinbei was very clear. When Big Mom was taking a lifespan, everyone was frightened of her. Then Jinbei seems to be looking at her, and then when he makes his speech, you see what he sees, and he just sees Linlin, you know, the Big Mom, and she's shocked that he's not affected by it. And I'm wondering if it's that in One Piece. It's all about perception. If you give in to those emotions, you see what they want you
Like
to see.
this could be like some weird surreal explanation for why Pound like survived, right? Because he was just so dedicated, like to get into them kids, like.
It's will. It's all willpower, man.
I was about to
And
say that.
it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all will. When you said boxing cube, all I could think about is that everything ties back to Long Band.
It leads me to ask,
Yeah.
right? Because it's in one of my scripts that I dropped a couple of days. Like, do you think people could control they could use their imagination to do what Bonnie's done, to do what Usopp's done with his lies, to do what Buggy's done with his luck, to do what Luffy does with his imagination, his fruit? Do you reckon that 800 years ago, people were walking around being able to control the world with weird powers and like the voice of all things, or something like that? How do you reckon that's gonna go down?
For me, I actually think like the voice of all things and hockey. Like I don't think even Usopp's lies. I think Usopp's lies. I think is more. I mean, it's obviously not like a joke because it is like it literally always become true. But I don't think that's really part of his imagination. And same thing with like how you said hockey or the voice of all things. But I do believe that with devil fruits, I think I don't know, like I don't think they're necessarily like all linked, but I think every devil fruit, how we saw with Bonnie and I actually probably will make a video on this sometime, but it's pretty much a theory that like I think every devil fruit can pretty much do anything it really wants to do. Like literally anything it wants to do. Because if you think about it, like Bonnie, we saw she can literally distort her future into any kind of timeline that she wants to. And I think if you really just get creative with pretty much any fruit, you can pretty much do what Luffy does. Like it obviously wouldn't be rubber, but it would be the same thing in like a different way. Like let's think of an example. Like Luffy.
Red Rock, Ace, Fire Fist.
Yeah, Red Rock. Yeah, exactly. Or what does he do in Gear 5 though? Like what's one of his moves?
He just made
like
Saturn and Kizaru into pizzas. I mean,
True, actually. Okay.
Mole punch. The elephant mole or something. That mole punch. He did.
Mole
Oh
punch.
Yeah.
dude, the mole,
The mole
gun,
punch,
where
yeah.
it punched into the ground and it popped up
Yeah.
and hit Luffy.
Walls awakening.
Like I just have a
replicates
theory that like
everything.
any fruit, I feel like once it awakens at least, I feel like any fruit can kind of do the same thing just in its own like completely different way. But it can kind of do like similar things, kind of how Luffy just uses his imagination.
So
Well,
would you say?
One second.
I'm just gonna. Oh yeah.
Myself and vexyz Lurking Legend are both going to be dropping videos on this because we came to the same conclusion,
Mhm.
just different paths. Is that the classes for the devil fruits are made up by the government so that people don't discover they can do exactly what you're talking about. That it's all about
Damn.
the freedom of the fruit and the imagination.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
they're made of dreams in people's will, so it makes sense that if you can attune
Yeah.
your will perfectly to your fruit, you can make that
Mhm.
fruit do anything like Luffy
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And I think there's evidence for other users who've done this in some ways throughout the series.
Mhm.
Like, look at Magellan in Impel Down. How does he use the poison fruit to make a Hydra? Like,
True. Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
It's such a complex maneuver for any Paramecia type power
Yeah.
user to use. Like, it just doesn't make sense unless he has the ability to tap into that imagination that
Yeah.
Luffy does to make the Hydra.
And
Sorry.
think about like if he did that, so he can literally like if you think about it, he can make anything if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
If he can do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, he could make a house out of
Mhm.
poison if he wanted to, or something like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it goes into Mr. 3 as well, like with the wax fruit. He makes all kinds of things with that wax. Like he made the
True.
key that let Ace out. Like
Mhm.
it just goes so deep that like I think you're right entirely, man. Like it's
Yeah.
the
Especially when you
devil fruits-
awaken though.
Yeah, especially when you awaken because you attune, and I
Mhm.
think that's what Lucci. That's why his ribbon's black. Is because he doesn't have a true awakening. He's not in tune to the fruit like he thinks.
Maybe.
He's only attuned to one aspect of the fruit, which is the predator side of a leopard.
Yeah.
So, I like what you're saying because I've been thinking the same thing, and I have a word for it because I think we're calling devil fruit based off elements like logia, based off animals, based off concept. I think every devil fruit has his own archetype. Like Luffy is a word of liberation. Since he's a free man, he's the freest person, he's the freest substance, rubber, and anything in that realm, he could do whatever he wants to do as long as he stays in that realm. And the best example is, and I have actually an example of two people doing the same thing with two different fruits. In the rocks, 30 years ago, both Shiki and Kaido were on the same ship, but we know Kaido was an apprentice. Shiki, in his movie Strong World, was keeping the island up by using his devil fruit to float and put that set of islands around clouds. How does Kaido makes islands fly? Using his flame clouds. And I think we're seeing many times people learning from their comrades and doing their own version. That's why I call it archetype more than elemental, those kind of stuff. Like even for me, I believe, you know, the way Saturn heals himself, even though it's we know it's not a devil fruit because we didn't get a devil fruit type and people still connect to mythical Zoan. I think they're playing on all three types because of how they are. Because the way he healed himself, and I look back at Marineford, is how Kizaru and Akainu kept healing themselves, being Logias.
Goes back. Yeah.
They were going into their element.
Yeah.
It's the same way. Saturn heals the same way from inside goes outside. While most people when they heal, you see from the outside, never from the insides. But only for Logia users, you see them rebuilding from the inside, and he does the same thing. So.
Damn.
So I
yeah.
think
It's
And,
almost like
like,
there's
okay.
no classes to devil fruits, really.
Yeah. At this point,
that
yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Or at least the class is just when it's not awakened, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like Because I mean, it's still technically kind of like it's a Logia, but I feel like once you awaken, it can pretty much do anything. I feel like it should be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if you think about it with now I'm thinking about like a move like Bajring Gun, right? Like if you think about it, like a Kainu could easily do that too. Like Aokiji can easily do that. Like pretty much any Logia can do it, and I feel like most Paramistas can also do it if they will have to be a lot more creative with it, but they can probably do their own kind of version of it. Like
Exactly.
even Nico Robin can do it if you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, once you learn that coding armament, like
Yeah.
the
Okay, yeah.
possibility is there. You just have to produce the flame, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at Sanji, he doesn't even have a devil fruit, dude. He was producing flame
Yeah.
from the passion of love, which is another form of will. Like if you look at
True,
it in a certain
true.
light,
Emotion.
like
Brook too with
emotions.
the ice.
With the ice, yeah, because I actually made a mistake in my devil fruit ranking for his fruit. I said that I wasn't aware that the ice powers even came from his fruit. I thought that was just Brook. Like,
No, just
yeah, like yeah, because like
damn.
because we haven't.
I
Seen
mean, it
him
makes sense
down
though with like
before he was a
Sanji and
skeleton. Yeah, exactly.
true.
It makes
That's
sense,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, yeah,
I
that's
would,
true.
you know, and also the more I think about it is, it could be that if you're the Delphoot, there's three pathways, but there's something that bothers me, and I love to hear your take. The others have been hearing me because it bothers me. By definition, mythical Zoan break the Logia rule, break the Delphoot rule, because
Yeah.
they give the
Both.
explanation. What is a Zoan? What is a Logia? What is Paramecia? But mythical Zoan are only listed as Zoans when
Yeah.
Marco's Delphoot. And I anyone here who don't believe me, go look in the anime or go look at the manga Marineford. The way he was healing himself was like a Logia, yet
Yeah,
he's
no,
only
so
considered to be a mythical Zoan. It doesn't make sense. Why
Yeah,
isn't
he's
he in
just
both
a fire
brackets?
Logia in bird shape.
not really. He
Seriously.
heals every
Seriously.
damage. He's not really a Logia. He's not made
Yeah.
of flames.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, but I know, but it's why is he simply the animal component? Why is the fire not part of his identity? That's
Well,
the
if
part
you
of
look
Phoenix,
too,
the
though,
flame.
Because it's a
to,
mythical animal. What
yeah, it's a
difference a
medical-
mythical
it's
animal from,
a
from
medical-
a normal animal?
Yeah, it's,
But if you look too with Marco's flames, they cannot do damage to people
yeah,
at all.
that's true.
Like
True.
they only offer defense. That is the only thing
Yeah.
they do.
So that's why for me is I feel like still mythical Zoan just be listed by Zoan. It could be explained that it's just because it's a myth, it's an animal, and it makes sense like that. But I just feel like there's still more to it, And the way it came out of nowhere. In Marineford, ever since Marineford, they've been giving us every 2-3 arcs a new mythical Zoan.
That's
You know?
true, yeah. Yeah.
Like so.
They're basically all
in
god
Manga, we got
fruits.
4 or 5 of them.
Yeah. And an egghead,
Ooh,
who
I like
knows
that.
if those are even mythical zones, but I don't even know what we got, but I mean if they're gonna be fruits, it's gonna be mythical zones with the
Yeah.
Gorsei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yokai zones,
So
the
actually,
undead
the w-
zones. I don't know. They're crazy.
Yeah. For
but Lucas, something you were saying, and I think we might have cracked why some people are just bad with their Delph fruits, or they're limited. Is it maybe the
Yeah.
lack of going onto an adventure? Like think of Yamato. Yamato has a Delph fruit ability, but never left Wano. Never left like its area that it was supposed to. So never had like Luffy or Sanji or Zoro interacted with people. Like think of Zoro after Punk Hazard, he learned the trait from Kinemon to cut fire. So it could be that some people they have a Delph fruit, but they never leave their own comfort. Maybe even in Marijoa. So you can never experience the world, see other way of fighting, and evolve your abilities that way.
Yamato
That
is
could
the worst example for that because she even has the stash. Yamato is awakened from what you can see.
Yeah, we were talking about the
Yamato is the
imagination
worst.
stuff. Going
Yeah, but
up
still.
much further on what they're just simply supposed to do. That could be a reason why. I mean, Indians Blue, they didn't even believe in the elf fruits, if you think about it.
True, actually, yeah.
Yeah, but still.
I mean, Yamato believes she's Odin, right? So that makes complete sense, like in terms of the faith and
Yeah.
the belief and the will.
True.
Well,
You guys
Oh, go ahead, Ors. Go ahead.
Oh well. You want to go ahead because I was actually gonna completely like go on another topic.
Oh no, man, no,
If you
you're
want to
good.
just.
I was just gonna say Yamato did have some control over his fruit. Like he was able to hold a
Oh.
hybrid form and use it to
Mhm.
fight. So like,
And also,
I
he's
get what you're saying.
awakened.
Yeah, and he's awakened, like which is
Yeah.
crazy. He's got the reverie.
Yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
that's true.
Horace.
That's true. All right, so going back to the recent chapter stuff, like with the flood, a theory I've kind of been thinking is like, obviously, how we were saying, like Emu is gonna probably be one of the main, like maybe the main reason why there's a flood, right? With because he has the Lulusia powers and stuff, the Mother Flame.
Yeah,
But I've been thinking too, like, what if the flood? What if, because to flood the entire world, like we saw with Lulusia, it only raised by 1 meter. Like I was thinking, what if the actual flood comes when the red line's completely destroyed? Because if the whole entire red line's destroyed, I think that would easily make a flood. Like just that by
oh yeah,
itself. And I was thinking maybe how you guys were saying with the Joy Boy thing. Like I still do think that at the end of the day, Joy Boy, however he does it, or however Luffy does it with maybe with ancient weapons or something, but I still do think the red line will go down by the end of One Piece. And do you guys think that could also maybe be the way the flood actually happens? Like maybe it already rises as Emu keeps on using the Mother Flame, but maybe it completely floods after that.
yeah. I think that is exactly what's gonna happen, my man. Especially with
Okay.
Charlie's prediction and Fishman Island of
Yeah.
Luffy
That's
destroying
yeah.
Fishman Island. The only
Mhm.
way he could do that is if he brought the red
Red
line down
line.
on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what even like more makes me with the whole him line. Like I keep saying, man, that's what makes me so on the fence about it. Because
Think it's
one,
Luffy.
Luffy's already
Yeah.
predicted to do it by Charlie, and maybe the world
Mhm.
will think it's the world government in Emu, but really it's gonna be Luffy. Or
Yeah.
vice versa, even like
Mm.
it's so wild. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Go ahead. What do you guys think is going to flood the world? Destruction of the red line?
Yeah, but
I think it's the Nefertari power, but
What do you mean by
What
the
do you mean by that?
Nefertari
Yeah.
power?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, now I'm even more intrigued.
Vivi or Lily or
and
something.
so back in August, I was working with another person in the TLA theory section. They have a hollow Earth theory where the mantle of the Earth got pulled out to create the red line around the world, and through that absence of space, my theory is that the Nefertari at the time, which was more than likely Lily, caused the flood of the Earth to fill in that emptiness of space to save the world.
Woo!
Oh my God.
That is
that's
wild.
interesting.
Because I was going to say earlier about like I think like we're going to have to learn about what's in the bedrock. Like, do all these kingdoms just get pressed down and pressed down? What's underneath it? But that is absolutely wild. That like yeah, there could be water like underneath the
And we've
bedrock
seen
somehow. Yeah,
we've
and
seen
obviously
that
showed like that weird
kingdoms
rain stuff.
have been flooded before. Not only with Wano, but in the cover story
Yeah.
for Hachi, we see that kingdom, and it's got like the paw print on it and everything that resembles Kuma's paw print. That's a whole other bag of worms. But nonetheless, like we see kingdoms that have been flooded already. So I think you're right there, Dindin, about them getting pushed down to the bedrock or to the bottom of the ocean, or what may have even just been the land of the past. Because I really am
Yeah, it
a
would have
big
been
Yeah, like
proponent
how
of
deep does
there's
it
an
go?
mantles
original.
underneath the
Yeah,
crust.
how deep does it go? Yeah.
Yeah,
And Dill, with what you're saying, maybe you're right onto something there. Maybe not necessarily with the whole Nefertari power thing, but like maybe Emu is putting these holes in the world, and the only way to repair the world from those giant holes, maybe they did it with Uranus back in the day. Ha ha ha, holes Uranus.
Whoa.
And maybe now they're doing it with the Mother Flame, and Lily's blunder could have been to, or even Joy Boy's blunder and Lily's blunder, was to flood the world initially, but it wasn't enough to stop Emu's plan.
Mm. Actually, with
Yeah.
that whole thing that you were saying with like the Hollow Earth stuff, like, then what do you think about like the Ennis lobby circle? Cause like, where does that water even go? Like, you
mean,
know what
I
I'm saying?
think
Like,
it
I
goes all
think
the way up to Reverse Mountain.
no,
That's the link.
I don't know.
oh,
I mean, there is. I think there is a reason. There is a reason why the gates of justice are right there and
Yeah,
are always making a current between them.
Yeah.
I think it should trap as much of the water as possible.
yeah,
And
and there's
it's not. It's only that. That's successful. This is why Water 7 is slowly sinking to the ocean along the.
Hmm.
Along
What
the
about
road.
like Lulusia too then? Because it's
That's
pretty much like the same
interesting.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason the water across the entire Earth raised up by 1 meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the world in the map of One Piece, the closest island to the red line, you would say, well, other than Marineford Sabaody, is Fisherman Island. And if you remember, there's those weird underwater whirlpool between the red line and that Jinbei showed at one point in Fisherman Island. Those weird whirlpools that go sideways in all different directions, and it can be dangerous if you don't have sea creatures, or that's what Jinbei was doing to help them out. And I'm wondering if this could all be, and if you look at it, in that logic, even though it's 10,000 meters underneath it, Fishman Island is still quite close to the Gate of Justice.
Whoa.
It's right underneath the red
Okay,
line.
okay.
True.
You know, so it
So
makes sense.
maybe
It might
the
be a
hole at
consequence.
Ennie's lobby, maybe the hole at Ennie's lobby is deeper than 10,000 meters.
Yeah.
I don't
it
think
might-
Maybe that's how
How
you
large
get
the hole is.
underneath.
That's
Like-
spicy.
All we got to know is that the entire way the hole is empty. Like water doesn't go there. That's the thing.
Not just that, but there's an island floating above it as well.
So
Oh,
wait.
to,
So
Ennis
you,
Lobby?
Which is weird.
yeah, wait. So you,
I thought there
in
was
Innie's
waterfalls.
Lobby, yeah, waterfall goes
Yeah.
down into it at Innie's lobby.
Yeah.
Can't say the same for Lelucia, but I would assume so as well.
Yeah.
The Lucia,
True.
it is the same. It is the
I
same.
think it was. I
Yeah.
think they showed it was the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically the
Yeah.
same. And I'm looking. Yeah,
The-
water.
the-
No,
the-
water
the
is
Navy-
going down.
The
Water is
Navy
going
reported
down.
it as like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Navy
I'm looking it up
reported
right
it
now.
as all the water was just going down the hole.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's an important. Maybe Emu is trying to drain the world then, and it is Nika that wants to flood it. Because would it not make sense
Wild.
that maybe they're trying to get their original land back? Like, what if that's like I don't know.
But then
I'm such a big
why
proponent.
blow up a kingdom to do it though? Like just shoot it into the
Because
sea
you
or
need to
something.
make the
It is
hole,
spicy.
man.
Good idea though.
It's it's you got to make
Yeah,
the
just
hole
shoot
to
it
drain
into
some
the
of
hole.
water. But at the same
I
time,
mean,
the-
shoot it into the sea, not onto an
man.
island.
Oh,
'Cause also,
now I'm
like-
reeling.
To answer to Ors's question about how he would do to destroy the red line, and something interesting is in Fishman Island when they were talking
right
about the
back.
connection to the red line and the bubble of Fishman Island, they connect about how the roots of the Eve tree basically blesses them, and I think it's going to be either destroying the bubble of the red line, and it's interesting at O'Hara they destroyed the tree of knowledge, but they never went through the roots. They went they just burned the tree, but we never
Yeah.
saw that they went through the roots, and I'm wondering if it could be as simple as like removing a cork from a bottle, meaning that if the roots of the Eve tree, it might collapse the hole in Fishman Island, put the island back up, and the red line would just collapse. Like if everything is they're all
yeah.
holding on by the Eve tree. I'm wondering if the Eve tree has a connection to it.
With Fishman, yeah, and with Fishman and the Red Line for sure. Yeah, I agree.
For sure, yeah.
There's definitely some. Yeah, definitely some. I don't know what it is yet, but there's definitely something. Yeah.
And the Adam tree is known to be very Adam wood that's from the Adam tree is known to be one of the most resistant type of wood.
True.
So wouldn't it be logical that maybe the red line is so indestructible is because the only way to destroy the red line is to damage the Eve tree. Maybe the Eve tree is like blessing it or something. Like it's
Maybe.
it's
yeah.
another special sword, special sword, special tree. It could be.
Also, what do you guys think? Like, okay, like obviously once like the flood's gonna happen, like, do you guys think how you guys were saying with draining? Like, do you guys think we'll get back to normal One Piece islands, or like, after the flood happens, or do you think like everyone's just gonna move to Skypiea because if the whole world if there's no islands, then I feel like that's the only place where people could even go. What do you guys think about that? Like, where people are gonna live after?
Honestly,
I mean, we've got surely the biggest like evidence here is Long Ring Longland, right? That has got to be the biggest case for what Oda was going with. Like these people move around, constantly migrating from high land
True.
to highland. Basically.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if
And,
also.
like-
Oh, sorry, I thought you finished. Sorry.
Last thing I was going to say was there's that little real subtle joke from Oda with Tonji where he recognizes Luffy, and Luffy's like, I don't know you. And he's like, oh, okay, my bad. And it's because like people have been doing this, going around in a cycle for so long, just like Joy Boy and Joy Boy's Inherited Will, that like you just assume that you know the person. They're just going round and round and round, right? So I definitely think it's that's where Long Ring Long comes in. It's probably post flood, and like you say, we did kind of hear about the flood early. So
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think Baratia was the first hint. Think of it. It's a ship that let's say a restaurant that travels, and both Zeph and Sanji, what was their dream? The All Blue. What would happen if the
Yeah.
world would sink? It would become the All Blue.
All blue.
So I'm very
Yeah.
curious on. We only got snippet, and it's interesting. The All Blue, we've heard of it many times, but they always say the same thing. We don't know more about it, and I'm curious about what is this idea about the All Blue. And I find very interesting that the way to show it is the Baratier, who's literally a restaurant that sails through the sea, constantly.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm wondering if Baratier must be the third instance, but I'm very curious on. Yes, I think it could be Skylands. I think it could be like the Baratier. I think it could be like water. I think Oda has been basically showing us the different arcs, how different cultures who knew about the legend dealt with it. So maybe the people from Water 7 decided to
Yeah.
make the entire island float. Maybe the people who were the ones who started the first Sky Islands, maybe they decided, oh, we can live in the skies. They found out about, pyrobloint, white clouds. So they said, oh,
Yeah.
let's move just islands in the sky, And I think it's going to be, I think there could be 5 or 10 different ways for them to survive. Which would explain why Emu would wipe out the people's memories and do it its own way. If Emu, if that person wanted its own way, my way or the highway, in a way.
Also, something. Well, I personally think like eventually the islands will come back because we saw like if there was a flood back then, it obviously completely flooded out some of the places like Long Ring is still kind of not like fully flooded, but like like it's still kind of flooded. Water 7 was pretty much completely flooded over time, and if there was a flood back then, I feel like most of the islands survived it. Like, so I feel like if it happens again, it should kind of eventually. I feel like after the flood happens, I feel like it should go back to normal, like somewhat
maybe
normal
like
at
it
least.
takes time. Like the Aqua Laguna was said to cause a lot of shit. So maybe like you say, maybe once it happens, it doesn't just destroy all the islands. Maybe it slowly displaces them and just screws everything up.
Yeah, like it'll definitely kill people because it's a huge flood. But as far as the islands, I'm sure the islands will still be there.
No, for sure.
I came back as fast as possible because I gotta say, I think the flood is actually just the first step. I think he has to flood the world to kind of cleanse it, and then he'll kind of lower the sea level somehow. And this goes back to a theory I had forever ago that I think Long Ring Long Land is a giant gear because it was obviously made by whoever had the Nika fruit before Luffy. I mean, it elongates anything that comes on the environment, including Usopp and Chopper, who have some of the best imaginations on the crew, which we know affects Nika's powers completely. But I think it's a giant gear that once turned will lower the sea levels. I know that's very tinfoil hat, but it's just the way it's set up, and then we have all of these symbols now of circles around circles, and it fits so well. Long Ring Long Land will be the key to saving the entire world, and everyone called it a stupid arc. Let's go.
Filler arc, even people call it.
People called it filler.
And let's not forget, Tanji was on stilts, right? Tanji was on them huge stilts, which would be and then analogous to being above the flood or surviving the flood. Right?
True.
Now I'm even curious about who is the person who desired Crocodile's devil fruit, because now that's a very interesting devil fruit. Can absorb water. And then Alabasta, it has this massive desert. Where did all the water go? For what reason is there so much the desert? What is the real reason?
True.
Crocodile became more important, more interesting now. I actually just realized he's always been interesting, but the dude is just getting more and more interesting, even when he's not here.
Is there like an earth fruit too?
Yeah, that fruit is actually pretty deep.
There's no earth fruit, so
Only
basically
like soil.
The only type of earth is like the stone, like Hancock and Pika, or else is the Logias, like the swamp, the wood, and the crocodile. So they're earth adjacent, but they're not earth.
That's
like,
we also have Pizarro's island now.
Yeah, as well.
Oh, yeah. Pizarro has
Yeah,
an island.
we've been cooking for a hot minute on the fact that like if Lily had the Earth fruit or if Emu has the Earth fruit, then the reason why Tequila Wolf, the bridge, isn't reaching the other end is because the land is being moved away from it by some sort of Earth power. That's why it takes 700 years and
maybe.
they're still not built it. Like it's just
Dude,
being shifted.
they're never gonna build it. I'm telling you, it's the
Yeah,
same
it's
lie
They're
that
never gonna
that
build it.
Orochi made.
never gonna build that.
Never,
No.
dude. It is the Arlong lie, the Orochi lie. Join the world government in 800 years, and you'll see we'll connect the entire world. And they keep lying, and they never. Dude, 700 years. To build a
Seriously,
This is a
bridge?
perfect
700
time.
years.
I waited to do this earlier because Mr. Bushido actually sent us a €5 super chat. Thank you very much, Bushido. You are an integral member of our community. He said Tequila Wolf isn't a bridge; it's a new landmass designed like the Red Line but lower for nobles and royals to survive the flood.
Dang.
That's
Or
The
maybe
flood does
what
make
if-
that more interesting. Yeah.
Very
Ooh, what if it's just
I
so they
believe
can
it 'cause
survive the
they're
destruction
all-
of the Red Line, though? Like, because if Emu knows Joy Boy's
Dang.
plan is to destroy the Red Line, what if
Yeah.
Tequila Wolf is so they can get off of the Red Line?
It's like their next home,
It
basically.
is a big old bridge.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a huge bridge, man.
Yeah, they
Dang.
were on the red line. They were like, "This dude, you know what? This is really inconvenient being this tall up. Let's move somewhere a bit lower." And then it's just taking them way longer than I thought.
Actually, there is some basis because starting to wonder if there were slaves in Tequila Wolf, because I find it very interesting that the Revs went there 2 years ago at the same time Robin was sent, and she was captured, and like there was like we keep seeing those areas where wherever the Revs are, it seems that just underneath that island there's some sort of underground place where people are forced to work. We're seeing more and more of that, so I'm wondering if it could be indeed that they
think
were
it-
preparing for those royals.
Yeah. I think there was slaves though, right? Wasn't Robin like basically a slave?
Yeah, she was
to Tequila
captured.
Wolf? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
What-
the animation got all weird, and Robin looked really thick for some reason, but appreciated, guys. Thank you. We saw what you
Dude,
did.
it's like
They always do that for Robin and
They always
Ronnie.
do that. Yeah, they
They always
Robin,
do.
like if it's an episode focusing on Robin, she's gonna be outrageous.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah.
the
And there might
The
be
craziest
a
is
random
Nami.
shower or bad scene
Yeah.
too. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
the worst.
That wasn't in the manga.
In the anime, Nami goes to the reverse mountains. She looks a certain way. She gets out of the reverse mountains. She matures. Like that's
True,
one hell of a
true.
ride. That's one hell of a travel.
For real.
The effects of the green
Anime
line.
be wildin', bro.
It do. It do. Egghead has been popping off with those new outfits. Like
So, yeah.
this is
Every
how
time they have a
I expect the
chance,
stream
bro.
to become. Every time they
For
have a
real.
chance. They do too. And they do it for you guys at home. Oh gosh, that's good.
Yeah, man.
I did
Yeah,
have a
I-
question for you, Ors, if I may.
Mhm.
It was about your Moo theory because we were planning on talking to you a little bit today. I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
know
Let's get into that
if,
now.
Let's
If
let's
you
get into
had
it.
gone in any other directions, like with any other kingdoms, like did you look at High Brazil or Lemuria or any of those other like fallen
Oh, yeah.
kingdoms?
Yeah. There was a lot I looked at. Shoot, I mean, so when I originally made the first one, there was gonna originally be like a couple parts of the theory, and I haven't made the next video, which is also on Atlantis, but Atlantis is supposedly different than Mu, and I think Atlantis was actually this is gonna be my next video. This one I was talking about too, how I said like I was kind of waiting on Vegapunk's reveal to make this video because it's pretty much on the entire Void Century, and the Atlantis one, I think the Lunarians might have lived on some sort of Atlantis sort of thing, maybe with like their own high technology or something. And the reason I think that is literally because there's a Disney movie on Atlantis, and if you take a look at the Atlantean like people, they literally look exactly like Lunarians. Like if
Oh,
you
yeah.
even if you search it up right now, yeah. They even have the tattoo on their face. Like they're dark skin with white hair and even got the tattoo. So that's why I think that they are probably connected to the Atlantis and Atlanteans. But yeah, I did look at a lot of other things other than Mu. One of the ones I specifically remember was there's this, I forgot what it's called. I think it's, if you search it up, it's called in Brazil the lost white city or something like that, and it's like completely lost in the rainforest supposedly. And the reason I think that also might have been connected to, or at least some sort of inspiration for the ancient kingdom, was because it's called like the monkey. It's like the Lost White City of the Monkey God or something like that. City of the Monkey King. I don't know exactly what it was called. Maybe one of you guys can like search it up or something. But I know it's something with like a monkey. No, yeah, yeah.
I'm looking at it already.
And it's like it's
Right,
also
like
an
that.
ancient civilization that it's supposedly people have found it, but like there's no actual picture evidence or anything. So it's kind of just like another like what if scenario, kind of like the ancient kingdom. So there's also that one. Let me think.
Yeah.
There's, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
City of the Monkey God. That's the one.
Yeah, Lost City of Ancient America's Monkey God is what I'm seeing.
That's
like,
it.
What
That's
it's
it.
referred to as.
That's
But
yeah. Those are
apparently,
those are.
yeah, apparently it's
Mhm.
more Honduras, but yeah, it's the same region. But it's more Honduras
Yeah.
and Brazil, but it's the same region.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
La Ciudad Blanca.
Yeah.
The city of
Yeah.
white. I suck at Spanish, but I got it, guys. Nailed it.
It was good.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
did my best.
But yeah. There's that one. Let me think. I think I also was gonna connect it originally to maybe some inspiration on the city of Dwarka. It's like a city of Indian in like Hinduism, I think, in like Indian lore. And it's another city that got sunk, and that's why I was gonna connect it to with the ancient kingdom because I've always thought the ancient kingdom was sunk. So yeah, I mean there's a ton of these civilizations that like people don't really that it's just like theories in real life, and I'm sure a lot of them probably are somehow connected to Oda's references for the ancient kingdom. But Mu was by far the one that like it seemed like way too good to be true, and like it seemed way too there was way too many hints at that one, so that's kind of the one that I went with. But yeah.
Yeah, no.
Because, yeah, I played around, like I told you on the stream of Liberation, me and Kube played around with, like, some of the ancient kingdoms, and I dove way into High Brazil for a while, and I was like, this is it.
Mhm.
This is it.
Yeah.
And then you dropped your Mew theory, and I was like, I should have stayed with Mew! Cube, though, I know
And
you have
there's
a
so
lot.
many of them too.
Oh, yeah, man,
There's so many of those. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many
No.
legends of sunken cities. It's wild.
With like high technology or like it's
Yeah.
like it literally all sounds like the ancient kingdom. Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah. Or
No.
there's like theories they had nuclear warfare and stuff
Yeah,
like that. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's what helped wipe them out. And it's like,
Yeah, that's how they
Okay.
sung. Yeah, yeah.
it's like
There's
okay,
like tons
okay.
of those. Exactly.
And the one thing I always wondered why Oda chose Luffy's nationality to be Brazil, but now it makes more and more sense. Like, Dada knows that, but around a year ago, I found this guy, this French German philosopher who goes to Brazil. He has his hand into making Brasilia into the capital of Brazil, into this prosperous place for everyone around the world to see it. Do you know what's the name of that
Mm.
project? Planetopia.
Mm.
And it was a philosophical movement to connect the natives who live in Brazil with the people who are basically
Damn.
who have come from Europe. But
Yeah.
apparently they had to abandon. I forgot the thing, but I think they had to abandon the project because of government issues of all things,
Ah,
and he had to go back.
always.
So, but yeah, so that's
Yeah.
what
Just like One Piece.
yeah, so that it makes sense now that why Oda goes with this. But yeah, the thing I'm curious about and I know you spit a bit, but
Mhm.
I would like to I'm gonna ask you two questions. First of all is what was your first when you rediscovered a Kingdom and Mu and you were going to this realization that it's connected to One Piece? What were the first thing that made it clear that he must have read that book? And the second point is with what they're talking about last week's chapter. What was your reaction to it? That's basically the two questions.
Okay. So the first question, like, I don't know, I don't even know if anyone even knows this about me, but like when I read the Mu book, it wasn't for One Piece. Like I myself like I'm kind of honestly just in like real life like kind of like conspiracy theorist. Like I just like looking into like ancient stuff or like just that kind of like ancient history or lore stuff. Like that stuff always has interested me, and even like religious texts and stuff like that stuff has always interested me since I was a little kid. And when I originally read that, it was literally just like it was just out of like interest for what it actually was. And I think I read it maybe right when I started the year that I started One Piece, I think. And once I learned about the ancient kingdom in One Piece, I think once we got to what's the arc called, Ennis Lobby and stuff. Once like Robin's flashback came out, I was like, oh, this sounds kind of like what I read about, but I still was kind of skeptical because, like I said before, like I kind of already knew about like other ancient lost civilizations like Atlantis. I've already kind of looked into those things too, and I was thinking, oh, maybe it could also be one of those. I'm not too sure about Mu yet, but there's definitely a chance. And once I caught up to One Piece, and once, especially with the Sun God stuff, like how I said, Mu was called the Empire of the Sun, like their king was called the Sun God. Like once a lot of the Sun God stuff came out, that's when I kind of really realized, like, all right, this is this gotta be like this gotta be somehow connected to One Piece. And I actually reread the book Mu again just for the theory, and when I reread it the second time for the theory, for the One Piece theory, that's when I found all the evidence. I was like, bro, this is like, there's no way Oda didn't read this book because like it's almost exactly One Piece. And Preach also, my coworker, my old coworker at least, like I still talk to him a lot, but Preach also, someone commented on a video of his where there's a Japanese anime called the Lost City of Gold or something, I think it's called. And in that anime, it's all about the ancient kingdom of Mu. And I was thinking, or at least he pretty much told me, like, yeah, like if Oda didn't read the book first, he learned of Mu from that anime, and then maybe read the book after that, and somehow though it's connected. And if you look at that at Preach's video on the anime, it's that is also like, no, yeah, like the One Piece is pretty much exactly that too. So like these things kind of like go together, and it just seems like, I don't know, to me it just seems like it's just like exactly the same thing. So that's kind of how I came up with the theory though. Like I actually read it, watched One Piece after I read it, and then started thinking, oh, maybe there's a chance the ancient kingdom is based on Mu. And then I reread the book, and when I reread it, I was like completely mind blown. So that's the answer to the first question. And the second one, like for the chapter stuff, like are you saying like sorry, what was the question again? Like what was my reaction to the chapter? Or
Because of how the last thing that Vykthor said in the last chapter, like since it does connect back on what you were saying about the Kingdom of Mu and connected with One Piece, like what was your reaction?
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said before in the stream, like my next video on Mu and stuff, which I'm also gonna be talking about Atlantis. So part of the Mu theory that I didn't mention in the first video, just because I was planning on doing multiple part series, and then I'm gonna put all them together, because it was gonna be way too much in the first video. But one of the things about the Mu theory is that Mu supposedly sunk from a nuclear war, kind of like how we can assume that happened in One Piece, but apparently the nuclear war, at least the theory goes that, I'm not saying this like for sure in real life, but like the theory goes that Mu sunk due to a nuclear war that then caused a completely giant flood around the world, and that is where like the biblical story of the flood comes. That's where, like, if you look at a lot of ancient religions, yeah, Gilgamesh, like there's like tons of flood stories from all over the world too. So that's always been a theory in real life, and that kind of goes along with Mu, like, or at least that timeline of Atlantis and Mu. And I think they call it the Younger Dryas. I don't know if you guys know what that is. If you want to search it up right, yeah. If you want to search it up right now, it's Younger, and then Dryas is spelled Dryas. That is also connected to the theory, but that theory basically says that the Younger Dryas is connected to Mu in the Mu theory, in the actual Mu theory, like of real life, and it basically it's like the scientific proof that there was an actual great flood in the real world. And the thing about the Younger Dryas though, why it is for sure connected to One Piece, is because the Younger Dryas says that that there's supposed to be a crazy change in the world, and which causes a great flood every, like, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like every 12,000, 11,500 years or something like that. And basically, if you connect to One Piece, there's supposed to be maybe a flood every 800 years in One Piece, or at least it's gonna happen again, obviously, especially if it already happened. And then the thing with the Younger Dryas though is that people say that it happened back then, and then that it's also gonna happen. Like we're kind of due for another Younger Dryas for a complete shift in the world, and that's supposed to happen like soon, like sometime within like the next 1,000 years or so. So if you kind of want to connect to One Piece, it's basically like where One Piece is right now. It's kind of like where we're at right now, like where there could be a flood. They supposedly science says there could be a flood any time now, but I'm not saying it's gonna actually happen. But that's kind of where that theory comes into play too. But that was kind of my reaction. I was kind of upset because I was already gonna make the Younger Dryas flood theory in the part 3 to the whole Mu theory. But I mean, now it's just more evidence, so it's like a good thing for me too. But yeah, that's pretty much
No,
my take on it, and that's kind of what I was expecting. Yeah,
when you said Younger Dryas, it blew my mind, man. Because I literally just like a
yeah,
month ago was talking to Dindin about the Younger Dryas and the flood of the world and the cycle of it. Because if you remember what Dindin said, it's a cycle of every
mhm,
400 years or 1,200
yeah.
years. The Younger Dryas
However,
is
yeah,
1,200 years. Yeah, and it's
exactly.
oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, that's gonna tie in so much. I
No,
think.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's connected. It's One Piece. It's One Piece. I think like that is definitely what Oda is inspired from that too, for sure, for
yeah.
sure.
The man definitely knows his history of the natural world.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah,
It's insane.
yeah.
Damn, dude, I saw
Oda's
anything
definitely
about
into like
this.
crazy, like not maybe not crazy, but like he's definitely into conspiracies of like
Yeah,
ancient
so
stuff
am
and
I.
like yeah,
And
for sure.
I
Me too.
always
Yeah.
picture, yeah, I always picture these guys be like, it's just like this assassination or this is like, they're like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah. You think I'm
For real, for
crazy
real,
until I say
for
Younger
real.
Dryas. No. Oh goodness.
But yeah, and actually, okay. So one other thing too, actually, with the whole, I forgot to mention this just now, but another thing with the whole Mu Atlantean, because the story goes that pretty much the Atlanteans fought with Mu, and it was apparently like some crazy nuclear warfare with extremely high technology that ended up leading to a great flood, like I said. But the craziest thing about that too is that if we connect it in One Piece, apparently all the theories say that that the Atlanteans were tricked by what people call the Anunnaki, and those are pretty much like gods that are aliens. And if you
Yes.
want to connect to One Piece, it's pretty much the celestial dragons and Emu. So
Yeah.
you can kind of theorize if you put that together. Emu basically he might have tricked the Lunarians, which I mean I wouldn't be surprised because he basically took their home. He basically tricked the Atlanteans or Lunarians, which look just like the Atlanteans in the Disney movie, to fight with him, and he somehow tricked a bunch of people, basically the entire world, to make him take over the world. And the theory of Mu and stuff basically says that the Anunnaki still own the world. I mean, I don't know if I fully believe that, but like that's just what the theory says, that they still own the
Yeah.
world. They still are the kings of the world. Though those gods still rule the world, and it's just basically One Piece though. And yeah, that's I think that's a part of it too.
Yeah, we gotta spit together about this sometime because the minute you said Anunnaki, I
For
was like, this
sure.
guy is my
No,
dude.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
And I'm sure I'm not the first person to say the Anunnaki stuff. I've seen comments on that
yeah,
for like ever since I first started. Like people have been commenting
I
about, oh, the celestial dragons are the Anunnaki, and yeah,
I've been waiting for
Space pirate.
a race of super tall, like white haired, white skinned, and I don't mean like white skin like me, but
yeah,
like fucking pale people, to show up in
hmm
One Piece, and like that's what Emu's race is or something. Like that's the one. That's
mm,
the Anunnaki right there. What were you saying,
yeah,
Lyndon?
Yeah.
Mhm. No, just the space pirates is very Anunnaki vibes. And I was just
Oh
thinking
yeah,
generally about the whole the Younger Dryas stuff. I think like it's strange no one else really talks about it. Everyone will be talking about it probably
for in
the
One Piece
next like
especially, yeah,
6 months or a year. That's
And
what I mean. Like particularly is like Graham Hancock's pretty big, you know, Richard
hmm
Randy Carlson big and stuff like that, and the Richard structure, more people know about it and stuff nowadays. So yeah, it is very weird that Oda's been talking about this for so
hmm
long, and now it's in the public eye. It's scary, and like the whole alien thing, and now UAPs are a
Mhm.
thing, and yeah, Oda's got some weird foresight.
I mean, I'm not saying like the Anunnaki are real. I'm just saying Oda based One Piece off of it. You can like I don't like you don't you could believe. I mean, if you believe in it or not, like I don't really like. I think everyone should have their own thoughts on it. But yeah, and how you were saying with the Graham Hancock stuff, like if you look at him, there's another YouTuber too that talks about like all the a lot of it is in South America, like all those ancient civilizations, like they basically say the same thing about. It's kind of like Mu, but they say it in like their own way, because they say if you take a look at like some of the pyramids or some of the very ancient monoliths or like buildings, I guess you can call them, uh the way like the technology had to be super advanced, the way like the rocks are built together. And they always say, I think Graham Hancock always says, you can tell when it's the ancient civilization and just versus the ancient civilization. You can tell it's like the really like thousands of year old one, because all of the rocks on the bottom of the buildings are like really big, and you can clearly see that like maybe 500 or 1,000 years ago, the natives of the land built on top of those rocks with much smaller, much less technology. It's like completely worse if you take a look at like the pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
And he always says like there has to be like some connection with this or with all of these civilizations that are literally built just like this all around the world, in Asia, South America, like I said, Egypt, I think. Like they're pretty much all like the same thing, where like the very ancient ones are big, kind of like boulderish rocks, and then you can kind of clearly see the difference between that and like a more recent civilizations from like a couple hundred years ago. And they basically say like that it all comes from one civilization that was completely wiped out from history, or that we just don't know anything about anymore, but it had to be an advanced one.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's also
it's
tied
one
in with it
from,
for
like,
sure.
it's like 11,000 years ago or something.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the Younger Dryas era.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Younger Dryas.
Yeah,
era,
always.
exactly.
It's always that. Yeah.
It always comes back to the Younger Dryas.
Always. It always does. It actually always does.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what's-
like
You know what's interesting about all the Anunnaki, and you guys were talking about the gods, and it's very interesting. Do you know that the god that in the Anunnaki that represent the moon is actually not is shaped just like a crescent moon, like in One Piece, and its name is Sin, like sinning, like they keep referring to Gorosei constantly. So that's why I do feel like what you guys are saying is spot on. I think there is something. There's a crazy inspiration that stems from them.
Well, and
Yeah.
now, like, I'm guessing the word now comes from Enki.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well,
for sure. Yeah.
When Oda
I've seen
would
that
have
one.
been,
That theory.
been in high school, a book known as Chariots of the Gods would have come out, which is all about ancient aliens and all that. And it was a worldwide phenomena. Like, everyone was reading this book in every country. So it would
That
make
is
sense
very
that he has...
Oda read that.
Yeah, Oda definitely read that. Like,
Oda read-
definitely read
yeah.
it. Because it talks about Mu, it talks about the Anunnaki,
Yeah.
it talks about all of that. And
What is that one called actually?
I think that
It's
is Graham
the
Hancock.
Chariots of the Gods with a question mark, I think. And then there's also another one called Gods of Eden
Yeah.
that is really good as well.
Dude,
I'm a reader, bro. Like I'm
Yeah,
a
it's
read
good.
it.
That's
Actually.
what that whole History Channel series, Ancient Aliens, is based off of. Is
Yeah.
Chariots of the Gods. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm convinced that I think Oda spent so many years writing the backdrop to his story. He has so much inspiration, like he has a book
Yeah.
of all of it. Because you don't know this, Ors, but I recently, like Denden knows, I got crazy 6 months ago when I decided to rewatch The Goonies. I haven't seen in almost 10 years. And if you watch The Goonies, it's basically One Piece. Like I was saying constantly, dude, there's so much stuff. And then when the guy comes inside the cave, and the guy before that who told about the legend, just like Gold Roger, at the time was called Gold Roger, being the story. The guy's called Chester Copperpot. You have the word metal in both of them. And when the guy Mikey comes, he says, "One-eyed Willie, I came in one piece." Even the quote, and it's like there's Hashinosu, there's Wano. You look at the old lady, the Fratelli. It makes you think of what? Perispero, Oven, and Katakuri with Big Mom. The way they're designed, with a chunked sloth being deformed, and with he's being the protector, just like Katakuri.
Yeah, Weevil.
Like it's crazy.
Oh.
Well, it could also be Weevil, but yeah. So like, I believe that I think Oda spent so many years reading, watching all those stuff, but he kept writing everything on the side because it's massive. It's so much.
No,
so
for
much
sure, for
inspiration.
sure.
For one story, it's so much inspiration.
It's
I will
literally,
say-
bro.
So,
It's
something
insane.
real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just got to jump in real quick and say I've got to shoot. I've got kiddies to bed, but I'll be in the chat. Mate, always a pleasure. I'm going to DM you immediately about some weird conspiracies. So, boys, cooking, spicy, love it. Same time next week. Boom, boom, boom. Have a good night. Much love.
Yes, sir. Peace,
Bye-bye.
bro.
Later, dude. Have a good night, bro. But yeah, that book I was talking about, Chariots of the Gods, I was wrong. It came out in the '60s, but it got big in the
Okay.
'80s.
In
So,
like the
right,
yeah. Oda was a
so
teenager, so
yeah, because I think
Yeah.
he turned 17 in like 1991 or something.
when he started One Piece, yeah, not in the
Yeah.
night, yeah.
In the '90s, like
Damn,
it's yeah, like it's wild, man. It-
There's also like I don't want to maybe go too far with the conspiracies, but uh the reason I've always loved One Piece so much is because like I said, I've always liked conspiracies, like, and I've always looked into the ones that I kind of really started out with. Obviously, like the Mu stuff is more so just that's just interesting to me. Like to me, it's
Yeah.
like I mean I kind of do believe it, but like if people don't believe in that, like I understand, like because it's kind of far fetched and stuff, and it's like
you're
really
talking to
old
a fellow
stuff.
believer, bro. You're talking
Oh
to
yeah,
a
yeah.
fellow
I'm a
believer.
believer too about a lot of that stuff, but like the stuff I really always started with conspiracies was more so just like the devil stuff, like where you see like a lot of demonic imagery everywhere and stuff, and
Mhm.
I'm convinced like that is also tied in One Piece, kind of like how like because I do believe in the real world, like that, like whether you want to say like they actually use that they actually are demons. I don't think they're actually demons. I think they are humans, but I think the people at the top of the world are pure evil, almost like
Oh,
almost all of them. That
100%.
yeah, and like if you
100%,
want to go
yeah.
down that road, it's like basically the same thing with One Piece. Like like I really do think Emu is like basically the devil, like or
Yeah.
like some sort of like complete demon. And we see with the gore, like I've always thought that, and the Gorsei now obviously kind of pretty much confirmed that. So that's always why I kind of really looked into the conspiracy route with One Piece, and that's why I also really believe the Mu stuff with the Ancient Kingdom, because it just seems like Oda bases a lot of crazy stuff that like just crazy conspiracy stuff into One Piece. It seems like a lot of it is kind of tied in with it, especially how you guys said too with the ancient alien stuff. There's a load of that stuff in One Piece too with the moon stuff, Burka, NL stuff. But yeah, I do think there's ties with that too.
Oh yeah, no, that's like I think that's why Enies Lobby is such a good arc, especially for someone like myself and probably like you as well, is because of the espionage that's in it. You find out about this shadowy
Yeah.
government organization that is taking citizens
Seriously, yeah.
out and
No,
spying
yeah.
on citizens. It's like the minute I saw it, I was like, this is the CIA. I swear to God, this is the
Yeah,
CIA.
yeah.
Like it was crazy.
For real
man.
though.
What were you
Yeah.
gonna say, Cube?
To answer to what you said, like at first I thought they were actual demons, but I think they're human. But my thing is, it's a quote from a show, and I remember it says that it's about magic, and it says that basically, and the quote is always about evil. It says evil is never born, it's created. And I was feel like
Yeah.
if you're five guys like the Goros say, who have no problem doing what happened to Kuma, and Saturn is proud what happened to Ginny and Bonnie, even if by your race you're human, you're a giant, it's your actions, right? It's what Tom says about
Yeah.
a ship.
No, yeah.
A ship,
Yeah.
a ship isn't a marine ship, isn't a pirate ship. A ship is just a
Mhm.
ship. It's what you use it for that becomes identity. It's not
Mhm.
born. It's not made to become a pirate ship. It's just a ship. And I think the Gorsei, they are devil because not because they're born as devils, it's their actions.
Exact.
I mean,
100%
yeah.
agree, bro.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like, dude, it's. I mean,
These
I'll say
those guys
this.
are terrible.
If the Gorsei are getting a redemption arc, I'll say this: Saturn is already too late. They better work on the four guys right now because I've said this. I can see Blackbeard, I can see a Kainu getting some sort of redemption in their storylines. Like we got this with the Flamingo, how he was written, or Kaido. We know there'll be more to it. I don't see anything good for the Gorsei. Like
Yeah.
at best
I
it'll be
don't-
like Orochi. We understand. Okay,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
I don't
but
like them, but
that's all.
I understand.
Yeah, that's all. Like, it's like Orochi. You understand why he hated the Kozuki so much. For Momo and Hiyori, it did not make sense, but you understand why he hated Odin and his father.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of it doesn't excuse it, but you have an
No,
understanding.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm
You
convinced
just say
that I'm
he
actually making
could see
a. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
retribution arc? Oh, I was saying, did Cube just say he could see a Blackbeard retribution arc?
I said I can see some sort of redemption, something that would say, even though I'm not 100% behind Blackbeard, he's somewhat cool in those moments. You would not say that about a Gorsei, and people would block
agree.
you. People would block you. People would block you if
True.
you say, "Oh,
Yeah,
True.
because
a
like
Gorsei."
I love Law, but seeing Blackbeard stomp him was still like, oh yeah, let's get it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I see. What
That's
you're saying.
the. I was gonna say with Emu too. Like, I'm 100% because I'm making an emu video right now, and I'm 100% convinced. Like, I think there is a parallel with Hody. They say Hody Jones when they say he's completely empty inside. Like and then there's another line right after that where they say he's a complete void, and that obviously ties with emu because when emu calls himself Mu, he's that word in Japanese I think
Nothing.
means void or empty or yeah nothing.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all the same thing, and I'm convinced emu is literally nothing inside, like no heart, bro. That guy, like, I'm sure, like, like how you said with the Gorsei, like, there is nothing that can even make me think. I can see, like how you said with maybe with Blackbeard, maybe we can eventually see, like, okay, I can at least see why he's doing his actions, even though they're completely evil. I feel like with Emu, I feel like it's gonna be like, no, like this guy's just pure evil. Like, there's no reason he should be doing what he's doing.
I released a video about 2 months ago on the Den and Kushi channel about the Faustian deal and like Emu making a deal with the devil. But while doing research for that, I also had the thoughts of Emu, like you said, just being a devil. Like they are the one.
Yeah.
Because like with their devil fruit, it doesn't make any sense either. Because like they brought a face out of their stomach. Zone types can't do that, guys. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Seriously, yeah.
It's almost like their power is null and void. Like, and I know he wants
Yeah.
to keep it in the shadows, but I think honestly, if Oda chose to just keep their power, that dark ambivalent force, like it would still fit
Yeah.
so well with what we know of Emu.
Mhm.
Actually, or I think you're really spitting on something. And do you remember what? I remember clearly that scene because, okay, for the people who know TLA, and you'll know this about me, Ors, is I call Fishman Island my least favorite arc. So when I have stuff that I like about Fishman
I'll
Island,
take.
it's
I love
there.
Fishman.
It's very
So do I.
limited.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very limited. So, and this is one of my favorite scenes is because what the brother of Shiroshi even says, it's not his fault. He's born from he talked about the era. Among the fishmen, there's an era of people who just got accustomed to the discrimination, to the hate.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
don't even understand it, and they live in that hate. And you can't do anything. And what was it the name? He said it's called the lost era or something like that. Basically,
Oh.
they're forgotten. Not the forgotten. He said something about.
Void Century?
I'm gonna look while we're talking. I'm gonna look for the panel.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I know
But
what you're talking. He's
vividly
not talking about the voice century. He's basically talking
No.
about like
Yeah.
is he?
the people themselves, and I think it could
Yeah,
be a reference to Emu and the people on Emu's side, the way they describe it. Like the way it's described because of Fishman Island. Now when I think of Emu, it makes me think of there are reasons why Emu is this way. What if the
Yeah.
D's are? I always say that Oden. You see two different Oden. When he's in Wano and he's exiled, before he's exiled, he steals people's wife. He destroys
Yeah.
buildings, just like Luffy at the beginning. And you're seeing Luffy is being more careful. But as Gear 5, he got Sentomaru wounded because Sentomaru got distracted by Luffy's antics. So I'm wanting for Emu, this what they were talking about Hody Jones, it also works. Because of the D-Clan being so free and affecting other people's freedom, it maybe created people like Emu who just hated everything, hated humanity in general. I'm gonna look for that panel right now because you really made me think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want me to go more onto the theory, like it's a mixture of Hody and NL because how you said like Hody for sure. Hody learned he kind of like learned the hate. He was just around it so much, and then there's a scene where like you see Hody never actually experienced racism. He just experienced people telling him about like how they experienced it. Like he never really. That's like the whole point where he doesn't. He has a reason obviously to hate the humans, but the real reason he actually hates them is more so out of like his own ego of like we are better than humans. Like it's like kind of like the Celestial Dragons thing. The Celestial Dragons believe we are better than everyone. That's why we get to slave them. That's why we get to do anything we want. That's kind of what Hody is going after. He's like, how Arlong was saying too, we are built better than humans. We are stronger than them. We could live underwater, that kind of stuff. And it's like, in his own way, he's becoming like basically the thing that he hates, right? Like he's basically becoming like his own version of a Celestial Dragon, just a fishman version of it. And I think it's also paralleled with NL because it's the same exact thing with NL. We see NL, he like legitimately believes he's God, and the reason for that is because of his abilities. If he didn't have the lightning fruit, he would not think he's God because he would be mortal. and the only reason he thinks he's immortal is because no one kind of pretty much just because no one has hockey up there, and because there's not really that many strong people in the sky. And then I think Emu took it to a whole nother level. Basically, he's basically the same thing as NL and Hody, but I think he took it to a whole nother level once he I think he stole the, or somehow, maybe how you were saying, sold his soul to the devil or something. I believe that somehow once he got those demonic powers, it's kind of like NL. Once NL got the lightning powers, I think he just was like, oh no, I am God. Like, I am the God of this world. I am the strongest. Nothing can stop
I'm
me.
the ultimate. Yeah.
And yeah, basically, yeah. And I think if he became immortal from the eternal youth, or if he became immortal from those powers, either way, once he became like literally immortal, his ego and like his just sense of thinking that he's better than everyone must have been like off the charts. And I think that's where like I said, like I think there's no real reason for him to hate anyone. I think he's just so, what's the right
Consumed
word
by
for? I
it.
think he's, yeah, he's just so consumed by himself, truly
Yeah.
believing that he is God. I think that's
Mhm.
kind of where it goes down to.
I like that too because it would mean that Emu is basically a victim of their own hubris at that point. They
Yeah,
think that they're all
yeah,
powerful and they haven't been knocked
yeah,
down, and maybe it's that fueled by hate and that Joy Boy that has
yeah.
caused him to act the way he has all these
True,
centuries. I mean,
true.
and then seeing Luffy pop up again with the same face as Nika, like it has to
Yeah.
make a burning rage in him. But I think you're right because
Mhm,
even the way when like they destroyed Lucia and we got to see the full events of the reverie and everything,
mhm.
Emu just straight did not care because it's closest. Why are we
Yeah.
erasing this kingdom? Because it's closest. That's why.
Mhm.
That's that. No other reason. Just it's closest.
Exactly, exactly. There's no good reason for it. Like,
Nope. Nope.
he's just completely insane. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
Okay, so I found a quote, and it's he didn't say lost. So this is what he says: "I found out Hody Jones' true nature. Hody is
yeah.
a monster born from his own from our own environment.
Mhm.
The new fisherman powers are created by hatred. They live in fear of their ancestors' hatred being forgotten. Live in fear
Mhm.
of the day that the anger at the humans is forgotten. They live in the hope that their holy war is just, is that all humans are evil." And this could be actually emo, you know. This whole thing is to
Yeah,
prove that I'm right.
yeah,
You
Well,
know?
yeah.
look at how the Gorosei refer to humans, insects.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Like,
that's another parallel that I even mentioned in the video. If you take a look at, they all somehow like Emu, Hody, and Anel all somehow refer to humans specifically as like something lower than themselves. Like Hody calls
yeah.
them, I don't know what he's I just wrote it like yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't know what Hody says, but I mean he always is claiming how like the fishmen are better.
Yeah.
Shoot. What is he says
Inferior.
something exactly that,
He calls it.
yeah.
It's. I know what you're talking about, but he does refer to him as inferior, and then he calls him something
Yeah,
else as well.
yeah, yeah. He calls them evil all the time and like stuff like that. How you said the Gorsei call them insects, we can assume Emu calls them the same thing, and then with NL he calls them mortals, which is literally like that's like another thing Emu would probably call them. So how you
Yeah.
said like all three of them somehow like they're so obsessed with like their own what they are that they are just like completely insane and completely, I think it's all just pride, honestly. They're completely prideful in themselves and they think that everyone else is below them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree entirely,
And
and it's the same with the Gorsei and like calling people insects. They have the same
Yeah.
mentality that Emu does.
No. Yeah.
and
Exactly.
Lily might also be an example of it. Did seem that at one point Lily sided, if there was a side between Emo and Joy Boy, it seems that Lily sided with Emo. It could be that there were basis for it. It can be that Lily had different reasons. It's the whole thing of Reiju. I always parallel Lily leaving Emu is the parallel scene would be Reiju hearing Pudding's plan with Big Mom at the wedding. And
Yeah.
next thing happens, Reiju turns
Maybe.
around, her
Damn.
memory is removed, Void Century. And I think that
Yeah.
could have been basically Lily overheard
Ooh.
the real plans.
I
Because I'm
never
pretty
heard. That's a
sure,
good parallel, bro.
yeah, yeah.
That's a good
Because
one.
that scene always bothered me. Is that
Yeah.
the one scene where you see someone's, I've said this, Dressrosa,
Yeah.
anytime that there's an arc where people's memories are being removed, it has to
Mhm.
connect back to the Void Century. It has to be a
For sure.
parallel.
Well, yeah, even
Yeah,
in
so it's like,
Dressrosa
Damn.
with Sugar and her fruit, like even beyond that, we get the little lore drops about the Tontata and their history and how 900 years ago, yeah, they have all the history, and 700 years ago, yeah, they have all the history, but 800 years ago, they have none. It's like
Nothing.
nothing
Yeah.
happened at all.
Yeah.
Damn,
Which-
that's a good one though.
Which
So
I
what do you
tell you
think-
this:
Oh, go ahead.
if the will users come from a certain era, and people don't have the information, the Dell fruits, I think they're from 800 years ago. It would explain it. The reason why they don't have any information is those people are like, they just were, they were killed or turned, or they evolved to a spirit, into Dell fruits. That could be it, They would
Yeah.
explain that Dell fruits are from 800 years ago. They might be the
Yeah.
reason why. Because Dell fruit have information. If you see a lot of them who awaken, they seems to know stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, sorry.
And
Except
one
for
more
the
thing
killers
too
that
with
have
the
held
whole oh yeah. One more thing too with the whole like how I'm saying like Emu or like NL believes he's a god, Emu thinks he's a god, and Odie calls himself like chosen from heaven, which is basically like the same thing.
Mhm.
The thing that I love about One Piece the most is like we see Luffy, who people go out of their way to call him a god, right? But he will never claim that he's a god. If he heard someone call him a god, he's gonna be like, "You're an idiot. I'm just a human. Like I'm just Monkey D. Luffy.
just a
That's all I
guy,
am. Like
yeah.
nothing else. I'm just a guy." Yeah, and like it's completely humble and like that is it's like I think it's just perfect with like against like truly what evil is and then truly the side of what good really is. And it's all in Luffy. And I think that's why he's like the perfect main character for One Piece, and in my opinion he's one of the perfect just main characters in general. But that's why I love Luffy so much because of that, honestly. Like he's almost like a perfect human in a way.
Yeah, he's because he doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants to eat,
Yeah, no.
have fun,
Yeah.
and fight. Like and I
He
hate
just
when
wants
people
to be
say,
a
like,
human.
Exactly, he just wants to be free.
Yeah.
And I think all
Yeah,
of us
yeah,
can
free.
relate to that.
Exactly.
All of us can relate
For
to
sure.
that.
For sure.
It's- But so what do you think? Just I'm not gonna lie, I have to go here soon. So I think
That's cool,
we're
that's
gonna
cool.
end the stream.
Me
in
too,
about
actually,
7
soon,
minutes. Yeah.
That's cool, that's cool.
So last kind of questions. What do you think Vegapunk's gonna tell us in his message?
Next chapter, like overall.
Overall, let's go overall.
Overall, oh okay. Okay, so I've kind of thought of this. I don't have a full theory on it, but I mean, if we're gonna talk about if he's gonna obviously bring up what Clover brought up, if I remember, Clover obviously was gonna reveal the name of the Ancient Kingdom. Obviously, that should be revealed by Vegapunk. We should get.
Fingers crossed.
I really do think he's gonna tell us what the Ancient Kingdom was like, because he's basically already telling the Straw Hats he just likes to talk about the Ancient Kingdom technology and stuff, and I think he is gonna tell pretty much everything about that. I don't think he's gonna know 100% like exactly how this kingdom ran or like he's not gonna know the full on details, but I think he's gonna know enough because he's been scientifically researching basically on the Ancient Kingdom technology and stuff. So I do expect him to reveal that stuff. One other thing, this might seem kind of random, but I do think he is gonna reveal why he created the Mother Flame, because we haven't really learned why he actually wanted to, and we do know that that York gave it to the Celestial Dragons, so we know Vegapunk didn't actually want the Celestial Dragons to get it. So
Yes.
I'm kind of still interested, like, why did he actually make this? Like, because it's kind of just crazy, like straight up, like it's a crazy weapon. I hope he does tell us that. I do want him to tell us that too, because we see Dragon when they realize that Vegapunk's the only guy who could even create this weapon. Dragon, and I don't know who says it exactly, but Dragon or Ivankov or someone's like, Vegapunk made that. They're like, I mean, it had to be him, but like, there's no way he would make this for the Celestial
Yeah.
Dragons. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I just want the clarification to Dragon to be like, when he says it in the message, like, oh, I made it for this. I mean, he doesn't have to say I didn't mean for the Celestial Dragons to get it, because he probably didn't know that yet. I mean, we don't know when he recorded that message, I think, but yeah, but like either way, I just want Dragon to find out that he made it for a good purpose. And the next things I really hope to see is Devil Fruits. Obviously, we better get some more on Devil Fruits. Oda gave us a little bit on that the Nika and Lucci fight, but we better get some more, because like when we every One Piece fan knows damn well when we got to to Vegapunk, we're expecting to learn
Yeah,
a good amount on Full Fruit, and we only learned like a little bit, like barely a little bit. So I do expect more on that too. Let me think. The Ancient Kingdom stuff for sure. That, and I don't know how much else he would know about Emu. Because it seems kind of like Nerona Emu is in the history books. That's not really like a secret or anything. So I don't even know if he actually knows Emu is like the king of the world or not. If he does know, he's gonna reveal it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't know. I think he's more so gonna just reveal stuff on the Ancient Kingdom, Devil Fruits, and more so stuff on the Ancient Kingdom side of things rather than the Celestial Dragon secrets, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm going for.
Like
What about
a
you
little
guys,
bit
though?
of, like a little bit of the void history, but from the side of the Ancient
Yeah.
Kingdom, not the
Yeah,
side of the Celestial
exactly.
Dragons.
Exactly.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cube. Everybody, I want to hear everyone's thoughts on this. Josh, what do you think Vegapunk's message to the world is going to be?
Like, I think the biggest reveal, other than the name of the kingdom, is this the word he's thinking. So I think it's gonna be how he got to that conclusion.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
from more reveals. Yeah, I think the biggest reveal, he started with the biggest reveal.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
So you, I like that though. Yeah, I like that too. Dill, what about you, brother? What you thinking?
I'm still of the thought line that he's gonna explain that the rulers of the world are really the demons of the world, and he would cut to a live feed showing the Gorosei at his death when
Dang.
they're all running rampant, and you see all of them in their yokai forms, the true rulers, but they're demons.
Mm.
But I understand that there's complexities of it cut into a live feed, but
Yeah, live stream.
it's
Yeah.
Vegapunk. At this
Yeah.
point,
It's
if he
Vegapunk,
cut
yeah.
to live, I don't think anybody would question it. Like,
I mean, you can play footage before a live stream. That is a common thing. Yeah. Like,
True. True.
here's
And maybe he
my
will. Maybe
pre-recorded
that'll
message.
be how
Now
he
here's
ends it. Yeah, like maybe he'll
Mm.
explain some of the Ancient Kingdom, reveal the name, and then be like, and these are the people that caused this to happen originally. Boom. Celestial dragons.
Bunch of demons. Yeah.
Demons, yeah. The Gorosei.
we just
And
get
cubes.
Vegapunk voicing over the live footage. These are the people that came to eliminate me from me speaking my truth.
Exactly. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, well, first of all, I'm gonna just drop it there because I like to clarify to everyone because I still believe that might be the case with Emu. Ivankov only revealed that there was a ruler called Nerona. I still believe Emu is not his true name. It's just what they call him. They're like, it would make sense
Yeah.
that they would they would usurp someone's identity to rule the world. A person is truly gone as long
That's
as his
true.
name is forgotten. Emu would
Yeah,
never
that's
be
true.
truly forgotten if they knew the real name. So I do think that they're using an epithet instead with the Nerona thing. For me, I've said this. Dave drove us crazy with Clover. I really got that small W that they would name at least Clover's name once. And they did other things. They never showed Vegapunk in the arc where it's Vegapunk. They kept showing Kuma's flashback. Kuma being a tyrant. And Vegapunk with that quote in the flashback. I can tweak with the memory without affecting the memories. I think that everything he's going to talk about Ancient Kingdom, the Nika stuff, but the way he's going to convince the people is he's going to show actual footage to Kuma's memories. And it's going to be all the stuff, which is interesting. Oda did a skip
That would be
of
insane,
12
bro.
years.
Yeah.
He did a skip of 11 years between the year before Ohara, 23 years ago when Dragon came. He barely showed anything up until 12 years ago, only snippets. Those are all the storylines of Hancock being a slave, Fisher Tiger freeing the slave, Amber-led crisis, all of it. And I think he's going to prove to that first of all, Kuma is not a tyrant, but all of those stuff, and those are all post-time skips flashbacks. So I think he's going to he's going to exonerate Kuma's name and showing that who are the true demons.
He did say he only did 2 things, so like maybe with what Ors is saying about him explaining why he created the Mother Flame, that's one of them. The second one would be what he did to Bartholomew Kuma. and rectifying
That definitely
what he
works.
did.
That definitely
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Definitely works. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
spicy. I personally think that he's gonna reveal where Jin is. We've all been waiting since the Baradier. Where's my boy? No, I'm joking. No, but I definitely
That's a
think
good
Ancient
one.
Kingdom.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. I think the Ancient Kingdom is gonna be named. It's gonna be the Kingdom of the Sun or Nika, brewed in Nika's kingdom. Let's go 3-day. But I do love this idea of him kind of clarifying things up and also using this time to kind of rectify these two regrets that he has. Hello. Sorry, my kids. They're ready for me.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yes, I think I'm gonna close it up here, guys. If everyone's satisfied, it has been such an amazing stream, man. Like we gotta get together sometime and just talk conspiracy.
For sure.
That's
Just let me
fun.
know, bro. No,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yes,
Conspiracy
I've
stream, man.
You got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got it. Yes, I've been Straw Hat Lucas, captain of the Last Ark. I'm gonna let my lovely round of people here say their goodbyes. Let's start with Ors, though. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Obviously, like you said, bro, like just let me know anytime. I'm down to we can do like conspiracy stream or just talk like whatever you want, man. I'm down, and yeah, just thank you guys for having me. Check me out now, you guys, by the way, at Or's channel. I'm not with Marshall D Preach anymore, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys.
Yep. Thank you, brother. And then Josh, tell these lovely people what's up.
Yeah, like nothing is up right now. Like
Oh,
preparing for the bigger things.
no chopper theory.
Like I'm basically giving up on the chopper thing until then give.
He's been working on that theory for months.
Oh.
And Dill, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
They can actually find me in the chats of Straw Hat Lucas's channel tomorrow for Mikey 14.
Yes, Group 14, One Piece D&D. It's gonna be a blast.
Let's go.
Can't wait. Yeah, I'm super excited for it. And Cube, where can people find you?
Hey man, listen guys, let's just say that I'll be linking up with TLA with the recent shout out calls that TLA has had. The other members are being too casual. I'm not giving my identity. Emu might find me, you know. We gotta be careful, you know. We gotta be, you know, especially Ors. You better be careful, you know.
Yeah,
I think you change your name. Go to do the crocodile style, Mr. Zero. Just call yourself Mr. O. You know, Mr. O.
For sure.
Gotta be careful. But no, honestly, I want to thank everyone for being here. For me, like personally, it's one of those. It's a special stream for me. Like for people who've known, I've been vibing with Oris's stuff since the beginning. So it's like it's a very surreal moment for another big moment in One Piece. It's like that big reveal. So I think it was a. We'll at least have you more often because I love the Kingdom of Mu take and even all the other stuff we talked about. I think it's a fun time to be into One Piece. It's a real fun time to do content about One Piece. Great time. And yeah, and also I'm also gonna do a shout out for those who don't know. Lucas started his new channel and he has his own video, Rambling Addictions. You wanna hype people up about that?
Oh yeah, Rambling Addiction, guys.
Dude, you scared me. You scared me the way you looked at it. I said, "Wait, didn't he just made it public?" I said, "Yes, of course he made it public."
No. My Discord like messed up for a second. I thought stream caught it, but it did not.
Oh, okay, you scared me.
Go over to my channel, hit subscribe. I've got a new series. It's called Rambling Addiction, where I talk about anime, manga, and anything I really want to about for about 15 minutes, and you guys just got to sit there and listen. First episode was on the end of One Piece. Second episode was on a shonen manga that I think no one is talking about. One you should actually read, or it's got the Sumerians in it and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's crazy. But yes, and a new episode is coming out later today in about 4 or 5 hours on Zatch Bell. So catch that later.
Yeah.
But yes, I've been Straw Hat Lucas, captain of the Last Ark. I want to thank all of the chat for being here, thanking our amazing man Oris for being here, and you guys have such a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.
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 Oh yeah, we're off.